Hello and welcome to another episode of Coding with Nylas, a live stream where we talk about programming, APIs, and more. Today, for me, it's a really interesting episode because this project actually took me a long time to build. So, today we're going to talk about how to create and read webhooks using or with PHP, Koyeb, and Bruno. So, before we go deeper, let me remind you to like and subscribe. Like the channel, like the videos, click on the little bell to get notified once we are publishing new content here in the live stream. Just send us your feedback. You can find us across the interwebs uh, at Nylas. So let's go to dig in. And probably some of you may wonder what is Koyeb, what is Bruno, what I did like playing PHP or something else. So let's gonna talk about it first. So I use Leaf PHP. So you all know, of course, that PHP is a language that allows you to do web development. So in the past, I'd always use it with Apache. That was like a pretty long time ago. But then I wanted something like a framework, right? Something like Sinatra or Flask that I use in Python. And I found Leaf PHP, which is pretty amazing, leafphp.dev. It's a pretty simple framework, but it's also pretty powerful. It was really enjoyable to work with it. Then Koyeb, it's for me a replacement for Heroku. So it's a place where you can create like microservices. You can upload your source code into GitHub, and then from GitHub you can send it to Koyeb. For the first service, it's completely free. Subsequent ones are charged, I think, by the second, so it's pretty affordable, and it's pretty good. I really like it. Then Bruno, from usebruno.com. So that's kind of like a replacement from Insomnia and Postman. It's open source. It's really light. I really like it and enjoy it working with Bruno. I always like things that are kind of simple, and Bruno is simple enough to just have whatever you need to work with APIs. For me, it's a fantastic tool. And then, last but not least, I found this little gem called Simple TextDB that you can find on GitHub by Ben Kagri. So it's basically a class that allows you to create a text file and use it like a database. So there are no dependencies, no anything, it's just the class and the file that you create. So that was perfect and fantastic, because usually when I do these examples with webhooks, I don't like to use any database. So I tried to use sessions, they really didn't work. So the simple TextDB was just amazing. That's all I needed to start working with webhooks and PHP. So let's gonna jump in. We're gonna see how they look, and then we're gonna take a look at the source code. So give me a second to gather my thoughts. Perfect. Okay, let me share my screen real quick. So this is a web page. This is gonna get all the webhooks. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna send myself an email, because this is a webhook for emails. So let's say we're on a live stream. Here, hello. And then I'm gonna send it. And that should activate the webhook. Hopefully, because something can go wrong in a live stream. So okay. As always, something appeared to not go the right way. So let's see real quick why it didn't work. Let's see. Okay, supposedly everything is all right. So let me take a look again. And I'm gonna try actually to do it the other way. Let me send an email out. Otherwise, we're gonna jump into the source code and try to figure out what didn't work. Okay, yeah, something funny might have happened here. So anyway, I'm gonna try to fix it in a second. Just let me reshare my screen so we can take a look at the source code. And as always, you have my guarantee that this works. But sometimes, some funny things happen. So let me share my screen. So the first thing I want to share is what I did with this simple text DB. So this is the class you just downloaded from GitHub. What I did, and it's already merged because I sent a PR and they accepted and merged it. These allow dynamic properties. This is something that you need to put because it was giving kind of like a warning that it didn't like. So with that goes away. So you don't need to add it. It's already added. But what I did here, I replaced DB with database just to have a longer name and just so I can actually access it through Koyeb console so that I can delete the file if I need to. And that's it. Now, when we're working with webhooks, in order to create one, we actually need to have a server that can receive the webhook. So we're going to have our index.php. Let me make it a little bit bigger, probably. Okay. So here, we go into our composer JSON, and we're going to require leaf or leaf from leaves, HTTP from leaves, and blade from leaves. So these basically are the libraries that we need to use when we're working with leaf PHP, which is here. So those are the libraries that we just need to call in order to work with leaf PHP. So if we go back, as you see, we're going to require this textdb.class.php, which is a simple textdb class. So we just need to call it, and we can start using it. Blade, it's kind of like Jinja or like, let's say, Mustache, which allows you to render a web page, right? Kind of like American language that goes inside, or that can be used by leaf PHP. So here, we're going to create a new app, like a leaf app. We're going to use Blade to create some cache, so it loads faster. And we're going to create a new TextDB object because we want to create a text file. Here, we're going to create a class to hold all the webhook information. So we're going to have the ID, the date, the subject, who sent in the email, and the name of the person sending the email. Once we get that, so when we go to the main page that I showed already, here we're going to select from our file. We're going to see how to create it in a second. So we're going to grab that file. We're going to select webhooks, which is going to be what we are going to insert in the file. And if we have something, we're going to display it. So we're going to call the blade page, and we're going to pass that webhooks to be able to print the ID, the date, and the subject. So this one is to actually validate the webhook. So when we create the webhook, it needs to go to our server and validate that it's actually a server in there. So Nylas is going to send a challenge, and our page needs to return it. So the only thing we do is we grab the challenge and we return it. Once Nylas confirms that it's actually the same challenge that it sent, there's something like a handshake, and then the webhook is established and we can start using it. So what happens when we actually post a webhook, or so we sent an email and a webhook that generated? So what is going to happen here is that we're going to read the content of that webhook. We're going to decode the JSON. We're going to make sure it's actually coming from Nylas, because we need to use the client secret and the header X Nylas signature. and we need to compare that with the full content of the webhook. If that it's a match, then it's fine. It's coming from Nylas. Otherwise, we're gonna say that the signature validation failed. So probably it's a webhook coming from somewhere else. So we don't need to do anything with it. So here what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new webhook object. And with webhook, I'm talking about this one. It has the ID, the data subject. So with that, we're gonna grab the information coming from the webhook. So the ID, the date, the time, etc. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna insert it into our text file, which is working as a database. So we're gonna insert it there, and then we're gonna send back Nylas 200 status saying the webhook was received. So we got the webhook, we store it in our text file, and it's all good. And here, this is a function that we're going to use to verify the signature. So we're going to get the message, which is the webhook. We're going to get the key, and we're going to get the signature, which is coming from the header xNylas. So what we're going to do here is going to use a hash HMAC to compare if these are equal. So we're going to do a hash equal and then return it. If everything is fine, we're all good. The webhook got posted and we can display it. So what happens when we call blade render and we're going to render these webhooks? Simply it's going to be that. We're going to use Tailwind CSS as always to make my page not look that bad. We're going to ask first if the webhook is empty or has some content. So for each webhook, we're going to read the webhook. And for each of those, we're going to read the webhook element. I know it's kind of like complex, but it's just because we're using this text file as a database. So we need to go one stack deeper. And for them, we're just going to print the ID, the date, the subject from email and from name. We end the for each, and that should make our application work. So let's jump on it again just to make sure. Oh, here it is. It took a little bit longer for some reason, but here it is. So this is the one that I sent from my Gmail on my cell phone. And this is the one that I sent back just in case. So you can see, here is the date. So, well, it's not 6 p.m. here. So probably something I need to check. Might be kind of like the server probably. But here's the subject, and here are the emails. So on my personal Gmail, I'm just my first name and last name. And on Nylas, I use both my father's last name and my mother's last name. So we know it's working, which is fantastic. I'm really happy about that. So now you can see that this service is hosted somewhere. And as I told you, we're using Koyeb, which is this one, which is really nice. You can get it started for free, as I said. You simply put something on GitHub and you deploy it into Koyeb, and it's ready to use. So I was also talking about Bruno and how I use Bruno to actually test this. So here's Bruno. You see the little puppy here. So it's free. It's pretty light. It's pretty amazing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. We're going to open here, and let's say we haven't uploaded into Koyeb yet. We're going to do some local testing. So we're gonna go into read webhooks, and later we're gonna see how to actually create the webhook. Don't worry. So here we need to do page PHP minus s, and I think it's 800. Give me a second. I actually forgot the command. So give me a sec. Let me look for it. So I actually used PHP for a very long time, and it really never occurred to me to use it without Apache. So like use something else. So I don't think since the beginning PHP has its own web server. Now it does. So you call it like this. Okay, perfect. Let me share my screen. And we're here. So yeah, PHP minus S localhost 8000. So I'm gonna run that. It started. So I can go back to my browser and say localhost 8000. And we have, okay, I have a file. I have one message already from previous testing. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna call Bruno. Here's Bruno. Oh, actually something, let me see. Because I need to open this is from GitHub actually. So we're gonna open the one that I have on my local machine, which is not the same one. PHP, v3, read webhooks, index. So this is the one we actually need to execute because we actually need to comment out the verification because we don't want to do any verification. We're just testing whether this is grabbing the webhook or not. So let me close this and where is it? Okay, it's actually perfect. So it's in the right place. So we're gonna run it again. Here, it should be fine, should be the same. And we're gonna go into Bruno. And here I have post PHP email. So here I have HTTP localhost 8000 /webhook, which is the same route that we're gonna use when it's in Koyeb or something like that. Because you see in Koyeb, it's gonna also well, you cannot see it here, but when you send a webhook, it needs to land into webhook. So I have a body here. So this is the body of the email webhook. I obviously modify a couple of things just to hide sensible information. But what we're going to do here is we're going to change the subject. So we're going to say using Bruno on the live stream. So I simply going to hit submit. Webhook received. So we're going to our local host. Boom. Using Bruno on the live stream. So you can see we're testing how webhooks work locally using Bruno so that when we upload it into Koyeb, we can make sure it works the same. But of course, we need to remember to just uncomment this part because we actually want to verify the signature on a real server, right? So once that's done, let's jump here, which is the source code that we're going to use to create the webhook. So here we want to call the php.env. So we want to store our information on an env file. And here is what we need to use. So here we're going to call the .env variables. We're going to load it. We're going to create or define a header, an array of headers, actually. And here we need to do the authorization, so the better and our B3 token or API key. Here we want to have the information. So the webhook is going to be, it's going to have a description saying by PHP webhook. The type of array is going to be message created. We can obviously use like message updated, message deleted, or even created, or any of the trigger types that we have. Here it's going to be the webhook URL, which is going to be our Koyeb URL plus webhook. And here it's going to be the email where we're going to receive any notification if our webhook is failing or something like that. So here we're going to create the endpoint. So we're going to call the Nylas.com v3 webhooks endpoint. We're going to pass a payload, which is this data. We're going to pass the headers. And we're just going to submit uh, the sorry, kind of tight today. So we're going to submit the request, right? So when we run this, it's going to create the webhook and it's going to be ready to use. So I already did it, of course. So we can see that here it's working. It's fine. So I think that's kind of pretty much it. You're going to see the web post coming tomorrow. The blog post is coming out tomorrow. It's going to have all the information, everything that you need to do, including step by step on how to upload it into Koyeb. So that's going to be there tomorrow. Let me stop sharing. And yeah, sorry, today I had a lot of my mouse not want to work with my brain. I've been working a lot on a lot of things these days. I'm kind of tired. So I hope you like this episode. There's really not much to say. The last time I worked with PHP was like, I don't know, probably 6 or 8 months. I use Silex, which is not even used anymore. But prior to that, I mean, I didn't use PHP for like 10, 15 years or something like that. So it's always funny to go back. I used to use it quite heavily when I was like 24 or something. So I use it like every day. But then with Python and with Ruby and with other things, I just kind of like forgot about PHP. And as I was saying back in the day, you only did things with Apache. It never occurred to me to use it like a real scripting language, which is kind of funny. Because what you can do these days is say like a PHP, your script, that PHP, and it's going to execute it like you're running Python or Ruby. That never occurred to me. I'm not sure if that was the case back in the day, but now you can do it, and it's pretty fun. I mean, PHP is quite amazing. So before I go, I want you to remind you that you can go to nylas.com/blog to see all the blogs that we are posting. Also, you can go to forums.nylas.com if you have any questions. Also, if you would like to leave a comment, whatever kind of comment on any of the blogs we are posting for B3, if you go to forums.nylas.com, you're going to see that there's an option. You're going to see the name of the blog post. Inside, you're going to see the address of the blog post, the address of the live stream, and you're going to be able to comment on either the live stream or the blog post. Amazingly, we have like 8 live viewers here on StreamYard, which is amazing. Thank you so much. 9 on LinkedIn. If you want to leave a comment, you can do it right now. Just type it in, and it's going to appear here. I'm going to be able to share it. So I hope you like this episode. There are more interesting things coming for sure. We have a lot of things to say on B3. So another reminder, like and subscribe. Like our channel, like our videos, give us comments, click on the little bell, get subscribed, get notified when we are planning to do another live stream. And just let us know, what do you think? You like it? You don't like it? We are on our episode 118, which is quite amazing. I never expected this when we start the live stream. It was just more like, let's see how that goes. So it has evolved pretty nice. I love that. So I hope you liked the episode. We're almost getting towards the end. Remember, this was how to create and read webhooks using PHP, Koyeb, and Bruno with Leaf PHP, which is a fantastic PHP framework. So thank you so much. See you on the next episode, and blog post is coming tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Take care, and thanks for watching.